This video goes over sample problem 3B. It's very similar to 3A. There is one piece of information that's different, and we'll get to know that. Let's go over the problem. Anne-Marie, age 28, unmarried. Anne-Marie graduated from the University of Georgia in 2014 with a bachelor's degree in finance. That's the piece of information that's different from 3A. In 3A, it says that she graduated from Lanier Technical College. So in that problem, she had 2 years of school already, whereas in this problem, she had 4 years of school, and she likely used the credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, that's available to her for a total of 4 years, and she would use that already. Continuing on, the problem gives the W-2 information, use that to report income. Gross income, federal income tax withheld, that's prepayment of tax, and that's reported on line 17 of Form 1040. Social Security tax withheld, Medicare, and Georgia income tax withheld. These information are not relevant to completing the individual income tax return. Interest, we know where to report that on 1040, right? Next, Anne-Marie knows the value of education, so she decided in the fall of 2019 to go back to school, University of Georgia, pursue her Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting. She got the 1098 from the school in 2019. She's considered half-time. She incurred the following expenses: tuition, books, and city parking deck. Tuition, that's going to be a qualified expense, but what about books? We know in the last problem, books does qualify for the AOTC. But what about for the LLC? It does qualify for LLC. However, books, to qualify for LLC, it must be part of the academic fees. So in this case, it's purchased from Amazon and is not required to be paid to the school as condition of enrollment for attendance. Then that would not qualify books for the LLC, because to qualify for the LLC, the books must be a condition of enrollment or attendance. You may argue that, yeah, although books are purchased from Amazon, it is needed to attend the school and be part of the class attendance, but that's not what it's meant. Books expense would qualify for the LLC if it is something that's collected by the school or you pay it to the school as part of your enrollment fee or academic fee. Be sure to fill out Form 1040 completely, filing status, name, social security number. Check off wherever the information is relevant, fill out dependents, any child tax credit or credit for other dependents. You have gross income, line 1, and you have taxable interest, line 2B, standard deduction, line 9, taxable income. Report any other relevant information. Report non-refundable credits in Part 1 and report refundable credits and other payments in Part 2. Do we have any non-refundable credits? Education credits. Perhaps we have that. We need to fill out Form 8863 from line 19 over there, carry to this line 3 in Part 1 of the Schedule 3. Form 8863, Education credits. Once again, remember that we must complete a separate Part 3 on page 2 for each student for whom we are claiming credit. So we have to do Part 3 first. Please fill out the information for Anne on Part 3, student name, social security number, education institution, and so forth. Then through all the questions, it should take you down all the way to the bottom where you determine the amount of qualified education expenses. In this case, it's how much? $3,400 from the tuition, right? No books. It's not qualified because it's not purchased as part of the enrollment fee, as part of amounts that's paid to the school in order to attend the school. Let's first learn a little bit about this lifetime learning credit. The purpose is to encourage the taxpayers to go back to school to acquire or improve job skills. And it's lifetime, meaning that it could be forever. It could be any year, any time. And that's $2,000. 20% of qualified expenses up to $10,000. So if it costs $10,000, then you could get a full $2,000 of credit. It is available for qualified expenses for education of the taxpayer, spouse, and dependents. Available for undergraduate, graduate, professional courses. Is a non-refundable type of credit. So we don't report this on line 18. Line 18A, B, C, and D. We don't report it there. We report it above that. We report it in Schedule 3, and Schedule 3 feeds line 13B. Just like the American Opportunity Tax Credit, the Lifetime Learning Credit has a phased out when income reaches a threshold. For single head of household or qualifying widow, it starts to phase out at income of $58,000 and totally phased out at $68,000, and double that for married filing jointly. How is the phase out calculated if the individual has AGI of $70,000? Remember that? You take the AGI of $70,000 minus $58,000, divide by the range, which in this case between $58,000 and $68,000, that's $10,000. So divide by 10,000 and you get the percentage times 2,000. Then that gets you the phased out amount. Now the range that we used is 10,000, but if it's married filing jointly, then it would be 20,000 because the range is between 116 and 136,000. We cannot take credits for both the AOTC and the LLC for the same student in the same year. The choice in one year does not bind the taxpayer for future years. Back on Form 8863, which assists us in determining the amount of qualified education expenses for the LLC, $3,400, and it says here, include the totals of all amounts from all parts 3, line 31, which is the $3,400 here, and we include that on part 2, line 10. So let's go to part 2, line 10. We enter the $3,400 on line 10. Line 11, based on what it says, the smaller of line 10 or 10,000, it would be $3,400, not 10,000. Then line 12 is 20% of line 11, which is $680. Recall that the lifetime learning credit is 20% of qualified expense up to 10,000. And that's what it's doing here, the calculation. Line 13, we input the threshold amount, $68,000, and then the AGI, $55,375. We compare the two. We calculate the difference. $12,625 is the amount. Then line 16, we input 10,000 because the filing status is single. And then line 17, it's a rate of 1. Line 18, multiply line 12 by line 17, which comes out to $680. And line 19, enter the amount from line 7 of the credit limit worksheet here. And on line 3, I'll leave it to you to do the credit limit worksheet, which we already did in the past sample problem. The result of that should be $680. So we enter here and input on Schedule 3. $680 goes here. Education credits from Form 8863, line 19. This amount flows down to the total, line 7, also $680. And line 7 says to enter here and include on Form 1040 line 13B. So that's where we report on Form 1040 lifetime learning credit, $680. I'll leave it to you to report the rest of the form. There's not much more to it. On these forms, don't just go through the motion of filling them out. Think through what is it that the form is asking for and why you are reporting the number that you are reporting. Is it based on the qualification or the threshold, and that's why you are reporting the number? Doing so will help you understand taxes much better.